this has come into focus because many of the individuals preaching on Sunday television religious concepts are saying that psychism is of the devil, that psychic development is of the devil. Well, psyche is another word for mind or for the soul. Soul development, mind development, how can that be of the devil? You mean, they mean we should not develop our minds anymore? We have not reached a very fraction of mind development so far. They used to say that Einstein was using only 10% of his mind, you know. Well, actually, we don't really know what percentage is what from what, because we don't know what the total amount of mind development would get to be. We don't know what 100% is right now. It's indefinite, the amount of development we can achieve with mind. Mind can do anything. It's the body that cannot do what mind can do. So actually, mind and development is what they're talking about when they talk about psychic development. Psyche is another term for the mind. So psychism is mind development. So we go all 100% for it. Even if these people say that it's of the devil, we're saying psychism, the mind development, is to learn to function correctly on this planet and not to make so many mistakes and not to hurt creation nor cause suffering. And that means correction of problems, alleviation of suffering because of mind development. And there's nothing wrong with that. Well, clairvoyance used to be considered to be, it's a French term, to see clearly. Well, actually, it's more than that. Because when we talk about intuition, to formulate or to come up with ideas through the intuitive processes, several factors, several variables, several mechanisms are at work, you see. It's not just seeing clearly, but knowing clearly, understanding clearly, sensing clearly, everything clearly, focused to a point, which means there's many variables here, many mechanisms focusing on one point. Now, the whole concept of all these mechanisms functioning at one time that enhances intuition is called now clairvoyance. Well, hypnosis, self-hypnosis. Self-hypnosis is only when a hypnotist prescribes the step-by-step procedure to follow, and you follow it on your own at home. When you follow the prescribed prescription as prepared by a hypnotist, you are going to self-hypnosis. When a hypnotist hypnotizes you, it's hetero-hypnosis. Hetero done by somebody else. But actually, hypnosis is all self-hypnosis because it is the person's who's being hypnotized, the person's mind that's accomplishing this. The hypnotist has no power, like some people believe, to hypnotize. The hypnotist knows step-by-step procedures that if the individual follows, he will enter deep dimensions into the cataleptic states, they call it, the somnambulistic levels, they call it, and that's hypnosis. When a person can get to hallucinate, meaning see things that are not there or not see things that are there. That's hallucination. When your eyes are open, of course. When your eyes are closed, you cannot hallucinate with your vision. You are going to imagine and visualize when your eyes are closed. But self-hypnosis is only that prescribed step-by-step procedure as prepared by a hypnotist. Because if a yogi prepares the step-by-step procedure and you follow it at home, you're using self-yoga then, or self-mind control, or whatever it is. Depends on who prepares the prescription for you that you're going to follow at home, to call it self-whatever that is, and give it a name for it. Now, about Spiritism. The difference between Spiritism, first you mentioned the difference between we and self-hypnosis. Well, remember that we learn to go to self-mind control, so it's different. The terminology is different, the level is different. We don't reach the levels that are reached by a hypnotized person, because a hypnotized person enters the first octave of anabolic cycle in life where his mind functions only inductively. And an individual who is hypnotized does not ask questions because they're not able to formulate words to ask a question. They only answer questions because mind is functioning only inductively in the first anabolic cycle of life which means hypnosis will take you to a level that slows down brain frequency to a comparable frequency that you were functioning on when you were between 1 and 7 years of age. And at this time, between your lifetime, your first cycle, anabolic cycle, between 1 and 7 years of age, your mind is functioning only inductively. It's between 7 and 14 that your mind starts functioning deductively, and means intelligence comes in at that point in time. So it's the second anabolic cycle that we're reaching, not the first one. We want to learn to enter deep enough to reach the second cycle of our life between 7 and 14 years of age, meaning slow down your brain frequencies so that frequency related to when you were of age between 7 and 14 years of age. Now that's the frequency we go for. So this is why the difference between ours and hypnosis is hypnosis goes very deep into the first active anabolic cycle, and we don't go that deep. We enter only the second active or anabolic cycle. About the other thing that you mentioned, spiritism, I think you mentioned. Some people are saying that we are practicing spiritism because in our future, in our advanced work in mind control, we have entered our dimension, the alpha dimension, and we create entities to talk to. You see, everybody talks to himself all the time. And if you check yourself, you think, and you talk to yourself when you're thinking, you know, what am I going to do now? Am I supposed to do this? Am I supposed to do that? You're talking to yourself. Well, here we create entities to talk to. Instead of talking to yourself, we want you to talk to somebody that you have created inside your mental level, which means you go to your alpha dimension, and here you create two entities, a male and a female, and we call them counselors. We consult our counselors that we have created. Instead of talking to ourselves, we have somebody to talk to now, you see? So whatever idea comes to us after we have presented a case to them, maybe a project, maybe a problem situation, whatever comes to us after we have presented the project or problem to them, whatever comes to us, we do, and we solve a lot of problems like this. Now, Spiritism is different. Spiritism, the theory or concept of Spiritism, is that they believe in entities who have passed on. You see, the ones we create need not have passed on. We can create a duplicate of anybody that's alive in our lab. Or we create somebody who we have never seen before, not necessarily somebody that has passed on. Well, Spiritism always depends on somebody who has passed on and call him back to be able to, for instance, a surgeon who has gone on, and here's a person now who has a need for surgery. Well, a spiritist medium, they're called, calls this surgeon who has passed on to come back and take over his body, the spirit medium body, and do the surgery through the spirit medium body, or the person who needs the surgery. Well, actually, we don't go like this. We don't consult, we don't act or call people back to take over our bodies and solve problems for us. We only consult our own creation, our own counselors to give us information. We solve the problems ourselves. We don't let our bodies be taken over by anybody. So whoever lets their body be entered by a spirit, this is Spiritism. So many people talk about the Holy Ghost entering into their bodies. The Spirit, Holy Ghost, has entered their bodies. That would be practicing Spiritism, really, because in essence, that's what it is. Allow your body to be entered by another spirit. Well, in our case, we don't allow another spirit to enter our body. We just consult that entity, which is spirit, because it's mental. Spirit means mental also. It's invisible. In the world of the mind dimension, in the alpha dimension, we have these creations here that we create ourselves, and we ask them about how to solve a problem, and they give us information, and we solve the problem. And that's good, because the information, if you solve problems, must come from God. Information that creates problems does not come from God. It comes from ignorance. And because of ignorance, we make mistakes, and we commit what they call sin. A sin is anything that goes against the concept of God. About the weight control and so forth, and through habit of eating, well, we do have a habit, natural habit of eating 3 times a day. Now, this has been the standard thing for everybody here in this country, at least, and in many countries, 3 times a day, at least that. But then again, we need to consider the genetic code. Remember we mentioned about the genetic code transferred from father to son? If, say for instance, that you want to weigh less than your ancestors, you need to be on a diet. Now, if you want to be the same weight as your ancestors, you don't have to worry about diets. Now, some people are born, because of genetic code, born to be thin, and others are born to be overweight. Well, overweight, depending on whose norms are you going for. We call it overweight because they're heavier. Well, maybe this is not overweight for them. This is a natural weight for them, depending on the genetic codes. So they're not overweight. They may seem to be, according to other standards, but the standard is for oneself. It's a very personal standard. Now, your healthy condition is dependent on your genetic code transferred from your ancestors. Now, if by the time, and you will notice that by the time you get to the peak of life, meaning 7 times 7, or 49 years of age, on each one, a 7-year cycle, you're gaining. By the time we get to 49, you have actually developed fully to what your genetic code is requesting of you from your ancestors. Now, if you're thin, you're going to be thin. If your ancestors were heavy, you're going to be heavy. And that's it. Heavy but not overweight. This is normal for you. Being thin is normal for the ones that are thin because of the genetic code, and it's normal for the ones that are heavy because of the genetic code. Now, if you want to be otherwise, then you have to be constantly watching out of what you eat. For the thin person, to eat something that they like and that they know will increase their weight and program themselves for doing so. For the heavy person, you have to follow a program, a diet, like you say. But in this case, you have to program the diet at your level, that you want to abide by your diet and not break your diet in order to be on the diet forever and ever, because you're countering your genetic code desires. So actually, your normal weight depends on your genetic code as passed on from your ancestors. And this is your not overweight, not underweight, this is your normal weight. And this is your healthy weight to be at. Or this is the weight to be healthiest, not any other weight. So then again, you can actually program yourself to be thinner or heavier, trying to counteract your genetic code, but you need to work at it, and you need to sacrifice yourself in the sense of not eating as much, or maybe eating more than you should, whatever, depending on what you want. You want to put on weight, or you want to reduce weight. In this case, remember that your desire is very, very important. The desire, for instance, your belief and your expectancy. There are 3 variables that combined mean faith. Do you have faith in reducing? Do you have faith that you can do it? Do you have faith that it can happen? And so forth. Well, actually, this is what desire, belief, and hope or expectancy means. Now, to strengthen any one of these, you must repeat them. Do you desire to lose weight? Repeat this as often as you can, your desire to lose weight, mentally or verbally, as many times as is possible. Imagine that you're accumulating energy in another dimension, the dimension of the mind, to be able to accomplish what you desire. Now, do you believe in what you desire? So this belief factor, you also want to repeat what you believe in as frequently and as often as possible, mentally and or verbally. Again, you're accumulating energy with your belief mechanism, that factor. So now you have 2 working for you. Now, do you expect to get what you believe in and desire? Do you hope what you hope for to get it? Well, this is expectancy factor. What you expect to find or to be like or to have gained, expect that and repeat what you expect to be like as frequently as possible, verbally or mentally. And this is the 3rd mechanism, that combining the energies accumulated by these 3 mechanisms, desire, belief, and expectancy. Sometimes expectancy is called hope. The blending of these 3 energies, spiritual energies, is what faith is all about. That means, do you have faith in reducing? Do you have faith in gaining? That's what it means. Now you program that in, and you will accomplish exactly what you have faith in.
Detect hidden information, influence people remotely, make better decisions, be more times right than wrong. Unlock your psychic power with Jose Silva's Everyday ESP Master Course at booksellers worldwide in audio, ebook, print, and large print editions.